Welcome everybody to the X Factor podcast today. You already know it's Thursday. We got AEW to talk about. Sorry to my NXT group that always likes listening to my NXT stuff. Kind of forgot to do that. I had somewhat of a lazy day yesterday. Been having some issues, but we're gonna get right into it here with some AEW Dynamite talk. Like I always say, X Factor at G5654, the Twitter. We're just 8 away from 200 followers on Twitter, so go follow that if you have not. Also, 49 subscribers, trying to get up to at least 100. That's the goal at this point. We have one new follower, so welcome to the group. Welcome to the show, I would say. And let's just keep, if you like listening to content of wrestling, football, of any sort of wrestling or football, either it's college football or NFL, or you like AEW, or you like in New Japan or Impact or anything like that, or regular WWE stuff, boom, I am the perfect person. And I will put my personal opinions in there, not just if I don't like the guy, I'm just going to talk crap about him and make fake stories about him, like some of these people do around here. So, we're going to get right into here. The start of the show, Orange Cassidy for Wheeler Yuta, and another opening show for Orange Cassidy. And overall, I thought the match did pretty well. I've even said last night, Wheeler Yuta, the development of Wheeler Yuta has been pretty well. Like, between him and Daniel Garcia last year, and the rivalry, the matches they had for the pure title last year, I thought they were just brilliant. Every match they had with that title, I thought was just brilliant. I love the story between them two. Right now, I think them two are up there, like, they're getting up there to where they could be in main event status. They're close to it. And it could be either for the Ring of Honor main event status, or it could be for the AEW main event status. Hell, Wheeler Yuta's already pinned Kenny Omega. Daniel Garcia's pinned Bryan Danielson. You know, they've pinned some of the greatest wrestlers in the world today. So, and then we go back to Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta. I thought the match was pretty good to start the show. Orange Cassidy ended up winning at the end with a roll up, and with Moxley and Claudio out there. And then when he won, they all came in, started taking him out. Best friend, I think the best friends came out, and then Penta and them came out, and next thing you know, Eddie Kingston's back. And Eddie Kingston's back from his, from the G1, from last, the last time we seen him was at the G1, and he lost to David Finlay, which was a pretty decent match. And Eddie Kingston challenged him to a stadium stampede at Wembley Stadium. So we're going to get a stadium stampede match at Wembley Stadium between Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, and the Lucha Bros. Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, and Moxley need to get 3 partners. I'm going to assume the first guy is going to be that Shoto Inumio. I think that's how you say his name. I've been watching the G1. I should know his name by now. I think he's going to be the first one, because that's one of Moxley's mentor guys that he's been helping out. Maybe a Chris Hero and Nigel McGuinness return, who knows. I know there's beef between him and Eddie, between him and Chris Hero, so maybe that's something for Claudio and Chris Hero to get the shit out by Eddie Kingston. But overall, that's what I think probably should happen. Then we get down to the sit down with JR and Kenny Omega, talking about how Don Callis was pretty much like how he meant to him through family and everything, and talking about, they're in Daly's place, so they're just sitting there talking. Don Callis shows up and said something about no one wants to listen to your insecurities for 3 hours. I thought that was pretty funny. Kenny was about to leave. Takeshita and Bullet Club, Gold, Drew Charlotte, and Jay White took him out. So obviously I don't know if we're ever gonna see Kenny and Hangman on Collision, or they're just gonna try to stick this rivalry on Dynamite. But if we see them on Collision, obviously they've worked something out with Punk, or they've just put them two guys or all of them in separate sides of the arena. But there was reports about Hangman getting kicked out of Collision for and during Collision, and he was supposed to be doing this backstage segment. Whoever reported that, they need to put a clown face on them immediately, because they said that they got kicked out because of Punk, but yet the video package that they showed with Hangman, I'm pretty sure what they showed on Dynamite was what Hangman was supposed to be in. So whoever's sitting there, I'm pretty sure it was Dave and Fightful, and all the dirt sheets trying to stir up shit. Mostly Dave Meltzer, because he's a fucking stooge and a liar and everything else you can put under there. Respect him through his wrestling, like his wrestling knowledge, but over the last couple of years, man, for a while, I really think he's just losing his mind at this point, because if something with CM Punk happens, or the Young Bucks happen, or Kenny happens, he is the first one on it. But that's just me there. After that, there was the Jericho potentially going to Don Callis, which we've all seen what has been going on with that. My first initial thought was Jericho wasn't going to go there because of the JAS. And, Jericho comes in there, and there's a picture, a covered painting, which we will talk about here in just a second here, and Jericho comes in and tells Don Callis that he doesn't join factions, he makes them. And says he'll join them. And I'm sitting here like, what in the world? And they're about ready to leave. Jericho asked what the painting was about. Don Callis, said don't worry about it, and they were in. Jericho went over, unpulled it, and it was a picture of Don Callis holding Jericho's head. And Jericho was all confused and asked, like, are you trying to assassinate me or whatever? All that kind of things. And Don Callis said that he didn't think he was going to join him because of his ego, and he wasn't good enough for the Don Callis family. And pretty much ruined the friendship between him and Jericho. Jericho went after Don Callis, and then Takeshita came in the ring, and Jericho went after Takeshita. The next thing you know, Will Ospreay comes out, and boom, Will Ospreay takes out Jericho and puts the painting through and hits him with it. We're getting Jericho and Ospreay at Wall In. I've seen so many people get pissed off about it, but the Twitter, social media side of things, I don't give a shit what they fucking say. They're a whole big ass bubble of people that think they can do better than some of the bookers, which some of them probably could, but a lot of them wouldn't, because they just ruin the whole situation. They just make it terrible. So now we're getting Ospreay and Jericho at All In. The match, I think, is going to be pretty decent, but it's not Kenny and Will, which is what some people wanted. By the way, I forgot to mention this. Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi will be facing Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold. So that is also a good thing. We can see Kota Ibushi again. Hopefully he's a lot better now than what he was at Blood and Guts. So the next second match was Darby Allin and Nick Wayne versus the Mobile Embassy, and the match went very short. I was very I thought the match would have been a little longer, but knowing what was going to happen the last couple of times throughout the show, I understand. Because like they started the match like in a couple minutes in, like a minute or two, maybe even 3 minutes. They went right into a commercial break. So I'm like, okay, this is different, I guess. And then like commercial break ends, and then like a minute later the match ends, and I'm like, okay, we're done now, I guess. I don't know, but so that was just there, I guess. Afterwards, there was a video package of Sting, and I think we all know what we're getting Sting with now is Joker Sting style of Sting, which I feel like it's perfect. Everywhere you find it, it's gonna be perfect. And you know, I'm really excited to see what what's gonna happen now with Sting and this Joker stuff, because it's like he's insane. Like he had Prince Nana just sitting there holding him, just sitting there. I would like to see this full Joker Sting go through his final days of AEW potentially. Don't know if that would fully work, but that's just my personal preference, I guess. But the segment overall I think was good. It was just really good. Speaking of good segments, Adam Cole, MJF, another GOAT segment, as people would say. It started with them outside of Outback Steakhouse, and MJF talking about how they need to get to know their opponents or whatever. So they're going there, and Adam Cole goes, "I love Outback Steakhouse," and MJF yells at him, "No, you're not supposed to like it. They're the enemies here," which I thought was very funny. So, they get in there, they eat the food. There's some thing of MJF looking at a kangaroo, doing a kangaroo kick, and they leave, and they're like, "This is some of the best, food they've ever had, and how are they gonna beat him?" And then MJF, they put up some another thing about some DVD that Adam Cole bought, and about Australia or whatever, and I believe it had something to do with Steve Irwin. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but Adam Cole or MJF goes, I have an idea," and he goes, "Why don't we do kangaroo kicks?" And well, let's just say a kangaroo kicks are already getting over based off what we seen last night with the crowd. Adam Cole said no, and then there was some little thing of them with just one of those crocodile things you get from like Walmart, aired up ones or whatever. And one of the security guards was like, "A crocodile or whatever," and like, come on now, and like they're trying to get it, and then Adam Cole and MJF double clotheslined him, the security guard. And next thing you know, you hear Tony Khan in the back yelling at them to get to his office. And I don't know what having at Tony Khan in that segment, I think made the thing a whole lot better. And it was already good going up to that point, but having Tony Khan yell at them was the perfect. And it was even better when they came out and MJF goes, once 2024 comes, he's gonna regret that, and then he says once contract time comes, and Tony Khan comes up and goes, "What'd you say?" And Adam and MJF goes, "Oh, just hi there." And Tony Khan's like, "Oh, hi, everything was great, bye." I'm like, okay, Tony, that's just alright then, I was so confused, but it was so funny at the same time. Having Tony Khan on an on-screen character might be some of the funniest stuff I have seen. Like, when you talk about funny comedy, that is something I gotta put in there. And then, they came out, of course, and they're talking about their match, and they're doing some quotes from some Steve Austin Rock days, like seeing some of that, and Ozzy opened, They're both talking about how they're willing to do anything to win. So obviously someone's gonna cheat to win the title. It's gonna be obvious. Everyone thinks MJF, but Adam Cole the last couple of weeks have given me some worries here. But Aussie Open takes him out because they're supposed to have the match at All In the 0 Hour, and Adam Cole and MJF took them out, and then and Adam Cole was gonna kick MJF right in the face. We all seen it. It's on the thumbnail. We all seen it. And MJF turns around like nothing happened, and they just hugged it out, and was all confused. This storyline is getting very good, up to the top. It's gonna go up there with CM Punk and MJF, of course, but this is a whole and I can't really compare which one's better, because these two are two different scenarios right now, because Adam Cole and I can really compare it because Adam Cole, MJF loves CM Punk and Adam Cole, and now he's gonna be able to face them too. And I really think they should pull the trigger on having Adam Cole turn heel. It's gonna be an unpopular opinion, a decision, but I think if Adam Cole turns heel, imagine the amount of heat that would come along with Adam Cole and Roderick Strong and all that. Because if MJF turns heel or turns on Adam Cole, it's okay, we all expected it. But if Adam Cole does it, it's a double cross. It's what just happened here? You didn't expect any of that to happen, did you? And MJF as a babyface is a whole lot better than him being a heel right now. I think it just fits, and it's not really much. It's he has heel antics and talks like a heel sometimes, but the crowd loves him. So it's how do you get him to get hated even more? That's when you put him on against Adam Cole. But if you do the other way with Adam Cole returning on MJF, it's oh wow, what's happening here? You didn't expect that. None of us expected it. And also they're pleading the sand. They're seeding the seeds here. They're planting the seeds, as I put it. They're planting the seeds right now throughout this whole storyline, and you can tell every week it's what's gonna happen next, what's gonna happen, and it's just like the Bloodline storyline. It's what's gonna happen next, what's gonna happen. But the difference is they're not going on a 3-year storyline here. And I think Kurt Angle put it the best for the Bloodline storyline. They're more in the 8th inning, not in the 3rd inning, and they're just stressing to put what's next. There's obviously nothing next. They're gonna put a bunch of Roman's not gonna do much for the next till Rumble, and then boom, he's gonna lose to Cody or something. I think that's what should happen, because there's no other person to face him besides maybe Bobby Lashley and maybe Gunther. But Gunther's a heel, Roman's a heel, it wouldn't work. Speaking of something that's gonna go bad, the death match between Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy. The match overall, if it was just them two in the match, I think the match would have been pretty good. But in this match, and I hate when this happens, but this match reminds me of exactly what happened with Eddie Kingston and Jericho last year. This happened with fucking Jericho and Adam Cole at Double or Nothing. These people get involved, and it's at the start, it starts what's the point of them being out there, There's actually 0 point of them being out there, And you could sit there and say there was a point for them to be out there because, they're all trying to help each other, but let them do their own thing. They don't gotta show up 2 seconds into the match. And with the bad lighting backstage and everything, it was just awful through the entire thing. And I think we got 10% Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy, and I think 90% of everyone else. That's pretty much how it went. And Karen Jarrett has to be the most annoying fucking person in the world. her screaming every second. Like, get her off TV, please. Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, Karen Jarrett, get off my TV, please. They are awful. Like, Sanjay Dutt, not so bad. But Satnam Singh and Karen Jarrett, awful. Please, get away from me. You know, it's awful. Awful stuff. And then it doesn't even get any better because they come out and, it looks like, oh, actually, we're actually going to have somewhat of a decent match here. And then, of course, they get involved again. Everyone else gets involved again, which I think is fucking stupid. It's like, can you please fucking leave so we can get some Jeff Jarrett, Jeff Hardy action? Like, that's what I wanted to watch. I didn't want to watch fucking Ethan Page and that other guy and Matt Hardy take out Jeff Jarrett while Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh and Karen Jarrett are going after them. That's not what I wanted to fucking see. I wanted to see Jeff Hardy versus Jeff Jarrett in a death match. That's what I wanted. And it doesn't even get any better after that because the worst thing AEW's ever done has happened. When everyone complained about the zombie lumberjack match or whatever, this gets even worse. It's up there with one of the worst things I've ever seen on TV. And it's a miniature Leatherface coming up and just with a chainsaw and runs Karen Jarrett out of the way. It looks entertaining, looks funny, but when you look at it as a professional standpoint, it's probably the worst thing ever. Like, it was so fucking stupid. And I get they're trying to promote a fucking video game, but you don't need to promote a video game with stupid shit like that every time. This gave me 2000 WCW vibes, and I wasn't even alive for 2000 WCW vibes, or 2000 WCW stuff, but I went back and watched some of it, and that's worse. Like, it's up there with WCW 2000 vibes right there. That's what it gave me right there. It gave me flashbacks from not having to watch it, but watching it because I wanted to know how bad it really was, And plus, I'm also one of those guys that likes going back and watching older wrestling stuff, which is what I'm doing now with a lot of 80s wrestling. So, but that whole thing was just terrible. And if it was just Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy throughout the entire match, I would have had a different reaction to it, because that's what I wanted. And Jeff Hardy coming out with the face paint and everything, I'm like, okay, we're getting something cool here, We're getting Jeff Hardy, Jeff Jarrett. We're getting some good old TNA stuff. We're getting some pretty good stuff here. And, well, let's just say it wasn't a slobber knocker. More like a knocker, but not a slobber knocker. I was very disappointed on how that match went. Probably the most disappointing death match I have ever watched in the 13 years I have been watching professional wrestling. I have never, ever seen a death match that go that bad in my life. So, and let's just say it doesn't really get that better after that, because Britt Baker versus the Bunny, the match was alright, very short. Britt Baker won. Nothing really much happened. It was just very short. So now it's a fair four-way for the women's title. Hikaru Shida, Saraya, Toni Storm, and Britt Baker at All In. And I'm telling you, Hikaru Shida, I hope she fucking wins. If she don't win, man, I'm going to be slightly disappointed. Because she deserves to be a long-running champion, not just a traditional champion. And I feel like her and Toni Storm are the best in the matchups right now. If you put it in a ranking, it goes Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm. You can switch me out either way, because I would. On a good day, probably Toni Storm would go up there. I don't know. And then, it probably goes Britt and then Saraya. Because I'm not saying Britt's worse than Saraya, but Saraya's been awful since she showed up in AEW. She has been one of the biggest flops, in my opinion. But I can't really blame her because of her neck, but it was WWE's fault because they were too worried about her neck. So let's just throw that out too. I'm sorry, I'm going on a Jim Cornette rant, which I'm not trying to do, but it just, stuff like that, it just everything, it just all pisses me off. It all pisses me off, and I'm trying to be real with you guys. I'm not trying to be fake or try to do, say stupid stuff to get, likings around here, because that's not who I am. But overall, that's just what I think. House of Black took out the Acclaim. The Acclaim was supposed to have some action before the main event, and the Acclaim got taken out by House of Black. And the House of Black have an obsession of stealing stuff. So of course, besides since they couldn't get the mask back from Andrade, which I feel like they should have went more with that with Malachi Black and Andrade, but they didn't. They took out the Acclaimed, and well, now the Acclaimed have lost daddy ass's boots to them. And this rivalry, has obviously been alright. It's been meh around. The matches have been meh around, So, what I'm thinking is they're probably going to have a trio sting with Billy Gunn at All In. Probably, maybe. Or they wait for All Out. But if they're going to go with something with House of Black, I feel like they should have Brody King and Buddy Matthews versus the Acclaimed. And then you have Andrade face Malachi Black. I feel like that's where you should go there. Because I feel like we're getting so many tag matches for All In. I think the tag matches are just going to blob out the show, to be honest with you. I think we already have, 3 tag matches so far announced, and because the updated card now, I'm going to try to look this up now. Yeah, the updated All-In card. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tag matches, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches so far announced. 5 of them are tag matches. One of them's a multi-man match. 2 of them are singles matches. And I think you all know how my opinions are on tag matches. If you can get me to pop in some way, I feel like you've done a good job. I am very critical with tag matches, and I am very more critical with trios matches, or trio tag matches, because I feel like there's no need to really have them unless there's actually a reason to have them. Like there's no reason to have the trios titles. Like the House of Black versus Punk and FTR on Collision, I popped because I thought that was a really good match. But if I don't pop in some way, or because I'm not gonna sit there and be silent the whole match and say, oh, that was good. If it looked boring, I'm gonna say it looked boring. But obviously, I don't think Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi and Hangman are gonna have a boring match with Bullet Club Gold. If that happens, that's like arson. That's just what I think. But they need to start moving some of these singles matches. So obviously, we're gonna get Samoa Joe for CM Punk. They're obviously going to do some with Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs. It's going to be a very big card, you can tell. They got a couple storylines coming in, and obviously what they're trying to do. It's going to be a very big card. It's going to last for a while, This probably is going to be a show that lasts probably till midnight, maybe. Well, if you're in England, of course. In the U.S., it'll probably, it'll start, I believe, around 2 or 3 and end about 7. And that's on a Sunday, so no wrestling's on, so you're good. The only thing you're competing with is preseason football. Which, well, unless the Cowboys are playing, I'm watching All In. So, let's just be honest there. But, now we're getting into our main event here. The Guns versus the Young Bucks, which I feel like is probably what the main event should have been. between Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta or them. I feel like that was going to be the good main event. The match I thought was pretty decent. It was alright. It was good. I am liking what they're doing. Bullet Club, Gold, the Guns, of course, and the Young Bucks. I like to see them back in tag action. And the thing is, I didn't see many super kicks, so that's a plus. There wasn't many super kicks. Like, there's a few, but the Usos also do a few, so I'm giving them a pass. Like what you're doing, doom, like the Shawn Michaels super kick party over there. That's. I thought it was good. The Young Bucks, when they're not doing super kicks, they can show why they're one of the best tag teams. They're good when it comes to they're athletic. They're I would say gymnastic type moves. That's what makes them good. And Penta and them do it. Ray Phoenix does it. They all 90% of the AEW tag teams do that. And that's what makes them so good. And Young Bucks, it's always the super kicks. Which, don't worry, I'm one of those people that don't like the super kicks that much either. Like, if you do it a couple times, okay, cool. Like Penta and Ray Phoenix, they do it like maybe a couple times and they're good. But that's just me, or that's just what they do, I guess. After the match, Young Bucks won. After the match, Bullet Club took them out. FTR came out. FTR took them out, and FTR looked like they were going to take out Young Bucks. And, well, they came in, he was standing in the ring and just stared at each other and with the titles hold up, and that's how the show went off air. And then while there was also FTR chants, major FTR chants. So, overall, Dynamite, when you look on how Dynamite's been performing the last couple of weeks, storyline-wise, they're there. Like, they're obviously there. And when I look at Dynamite to Collision, you can tell this is like a early 2000s Raw and SmackDown vibe. Dynamite not doing the best, but storyline-wise, they're doing alright. And then you go over to Collision, you got good storyline, like less storytelling, but the more storytelling's coming through the ring, And the in-ring action is amazing every week. And that's just really what Collision's becoming the A show, and despite the ratings, I really think Collision's the A show, and they need to move that to maybe a Thursday thing, because nothing gets aired Thursdays besides Impact, and not many people watch Impact. I watch it, but I don't watch it on air. I watch it after because football's always on Thursdays. So I'm like, it's my one day to get wrestling off my mind. Boom, I got football right there. But I feel like Collision is the number one show, and that's just the reality of it. And I don't see anything changing unless they quit with the shitty sponsor matches. Like, it's okay to sponsor matches, but like, you don't need to have like the whole match based around that, because we've seen it with Bray Wyatt and LA Knight, and we've seen it with Hardy and Jarrett last night, and then not all sponsor matches are bad. Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson can prove you that one right there to you. But that's all I really got for you all today. I think today was a pretty good episode. Tomorrow it's Friday. Tomorrow, if I get to catch up on some Ring of Honor and some Impact, I'll probably talk about some of that. Otherwise, I'll probably talk about the preseason game, which is the Philadelphia Eagles first. Let's see. I'm gonna check while I'm still on right now. I should have checked this way before. The Browns versus the Eagles tonight at 6:30. So I am obviously going to watch that. And then, of course, some more preseason games coming. And I will review all the preseason games on Monday, also with Collision and SmackDown, which I said that last time, and I didn't do it, I know. But I will get back onto all that Monday. It'll all be in one video. I will put it in parts for everyone. I'll put it I'll post it'll all be in one video if you don't want to go to a different video, but I will also put in a part where it says NFL preseason week 2 talk. So y'all have a great day. Stay blessed. God's good.